Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. President Joe Biden has unveiled stricter COVID-19 travel rules as the US confirmed a handful of cases of the Omicron variant from coast to coast. From next week, international travellers to the US, including Americans, must take a COVID test no more than 1 day before they travel, regardless of vaccination status. Mask requirements on planes, trains and buses will also be extended until mid-March. 10 cases of the Omicron variant have now been detected in the US, in California, Colorado, Minnesota and New York. The Kremlin has said work is underway to arrange a video call between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his US counterpart Joe Biden. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russia and the United States positions diverged on many points. It's after US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met for talks in Stockholm. Ukraine and NATO have voiced concern about Russian troop movements towards the border. Russia says it is responding to threatening behaviour from NATO and Ukraine. Alec Baldwin has admitted his acting career may be over after the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the film Rust.
I couldn't give up my career anymore.
Is it over?
Why? Well, it could be.
Mr. Baldwin also said he didn't pull the trigger of the gun during the incident on the 21st of October in New Mexico.
And I cocked the gun, I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off. I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
Mr. Baldwin is best known for his performance in the US sitcom 30 Rock, as well as his impersonation of Donald Trump on the sketch show Saturday Night Live. After 24 hours of political turmoil, Austria's ruling People's Party has chosen Interior Minister Karl Nehammer to take over as leader of both party and country. Mr. Nehammer will be the party's third choice of Chancellor in just 3 weeks, after Sebastian Kurz stood down in October. Mr. Kurz is under investigation after he was implicated in a corruption scandal and stepped down as party leader on Thursday. Ethiopia's Education Ministry has announced a temporary closure of all secondary schools to allow students to help in harvesting crops for Ethiopians on the war front.
They should know that they have been defeated and surrender.
It comes after Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, here seen speaking to government forces, announced a 6-month state of emergency to contain a Tigrayan rebel advancement towards the capital. The Education Minister said the schools would be closed for at least a week, with the government saying more than 1.2 million students were already out of school due to the ongoing conflict in the north. Millions of livestock have died in northern Kenya as the worst drought in a decade threatens survival in the region. Local officials say up to 70% of cattle and 60% of goats have died of starvation, thirst or disease due to lowered immunity. Drought conditions in the region are predicted to persist until at least mid-next year, putting lives at risk. Neighbouring Somalia has declared a humanitarian emergency. Germany's military has honoured outgoing Chancellor Angela Merkel with their highest ceremony for a civilian.
Nun wird es an der nachfolgenden Regierung liegen.
In a speech, she wished the next government the best and believed they would continue to shape the future well. A band then played an eclectic mix of music of her own choosing. After 16 years in office, she has navigated Germany and Europe through multiple crises and been a champion of liberal democracy. She'll be succeeded next week by Olaf Scholz. The Pope has called for healing during an outdoor mass in Cyprus within sight of the borderline that has divided the island for nearly half a century.
Cari fratelli e sorelle.
The Pope spoke on subjects that included healing and shared pain, topics that touch a chord with all Cypriots. The island has been split in two since 1974, and tens of thousands of Greek and Turkish Cypriots remain internally displaced. And finally, an aquarium in Budapest has come up with a novel way to celebrate Christmas: underwater Santas. Dressed as Father Christmas, several divers fed the 4 hungry sharks in the aquarium. Many of the children in attendance seemed more intrigued by the divers themselves than the actual fish. They also installed a small Christmas tree at the bottom of the 1.4 million litre tank and decorated it with seashells. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.